Long before cities, empires, or even humans as we know them, life on Earth faced a relentless challenge: survival in a world teeming with unseen poisons and deadly hazards. Millions of years ago, every breath, every bite, and every step was a fight against a planet that was as beautiful as it was perilous. This is the untold story of resilience, the epic struggle to endure on a poisoned Earth. Long before humans walked the Earth as we know it, the planet breathed with a wild and dangerous life of its own. Oceans churned with acidic whispers, skies carried clouds heavy with sulfur, and forests exhaled mists laced with unseen toxins. Every living thing, tiny creatures burrowing under volcanic ash, fish darting in acidic waters, the first wandering mammals, was tested against a world that seemed, at times, almost intent on their destruction. It was a time when life itself was fragile, and yet, even in the most hostile corners of this poisoned Earth, resilience began to stir. In the heart of a forgotten civilization, under a sky streaked with the red glow of dying suns, two souls first felt the weight of destiny and the pull of life's fragile beauty. She was a healer, her hands attuned to the rhythms of the earth, able to coax life from soil that had turned sour, to purify water that carried invisible death. He was a warrior, sculpted by battle, yet carrying the soft melancholy of knowing how fleeting survival could be. Their eyes met across a market square that smelled of herbs and ash, and in that instant the world around them, the toxic rivers, the poisonous air, the ash-laden winds, fell silent. They knew, even then, that fate was a cruel teacher. Ancient oracles had whispered of destruction that follows love too bold, too defiant in times of peril. Yet love, like life, is never a choice of logic. It is an echo of the soul's memory, a resonance that no poison, no plague, no cosmic warning can suppress. Under starry nights unspoiled by human light, they would steal moments beside sacred flames, the wind carrying soft whispers of their dreams and fears. The healer would trace the constellations while murmuring to him of survival, how the planet's toxins demanded adaptation, patience, and courage. The warrior would hold her hand, feeling the pulse of life against the inevitable decay, knowing that even amidst destruction, love had its own immortality. The earth itself seemed to mourn and rejoice with them. Toxic mists crept through forests where they hid, yet a rare bloom, immune to the poisonous soil, would always rise between them, a silent witness to their union. Rivers that could kill with a single sip carried reflections of their faces in fleeting moments of clarity. Life, fragile and fleeting, taught them a lesson that resonates through millennia. Survival is not simply enduring danger. It is learning to move with it, to honor the beauty that persists even when everything else is trying to destroy you. And then, as all mortal stories must, theirs was interrupted. A great cataclysm, a storm of fire, wind, and toxic rain, swept through their village. They were torn apart, not by choice but by the immutable hand of fate. Yet the soul knows no finality. Across 1,000 lifetimes, across millennia of human evolution, their essences whispered to one another, unseen yet insistent, seeking recognition in dreams, déjà vu, fleeting moments of inexplicable familiarity. In the modern world, two strangers walked separate streets. Yet the threads of that ancient love tugged at their consciousness. She saw him in a crowded subway, and the world narrowed to the rhythm of a heartbeat. He caught a glimpse of her reflection in a shop window and shivered, as if touching a memory he could not name. They were drawn together not by logic or coincidence, but by the eternal lesson of life on a poisoned earth, that survival is as much about the heart as the body, as much about remembering as it is about enduring. At night, they dreamt of ash-laden skies and sacred flames, of whispered winds that carried the scent of long, dead herbs. In these dreams, they touched hands across centuries, each memory reinforcing the truth they could not yet speak aloud. That love is not possession, not dominance over another's fate, but the quiet remembrance of a soul that has walked beside you through every trial the universe has conjured. And slowly, in moments of laughter, shared silence, and mirrored reflection, they realized that what had begun in a world poisoned and cruel had survived. Not because it was easy, but because it had always been eternal. In that truth, they found healing. In remembering, they found freedom. The earth may have been toxic, life may have been fleeting, but love, like the rare blooms of an ancient, poisoned soil, could always flourish when given patience, care, and reverence. And in that recognition, they understood what the first humans had known instinctively. Survival is not merely the act of enduring. It is the act of carrying forward, through every poison and peril, the unbreakable light of the soul. Life on early Earth was never gentle. Toxic mists hung low over marshes, acidic rains etched grooves into stone, and predators stalked shadows that themselves seemed alive with danger. Yet in the crucible of this harsh existence, the first creatures learned to bend without breaking, to adapt without surrendering. Every mutation, every instinct born of necessity, was a quiet defiance, a testament to the resilience of life. In the same way, love, too, would find a way to endure, even across the vast and shifting landscapes of fate. In the heart of a forgotten civilization, the healer and the warrior had begun to understand this principle. The healer, attuned to the subtleties of the earth, noticed how plants that grew in poisoned soil could develop resistance if tended with care. She experimented, coaxing life from decay, her hands tracing patterns in the dirt as if reading the whispers of the soil itself. In her eyes, adaptation was not just survival. It was an act of reverence. The warrior, whose body had been honed to withstand storms of arrows and spears, saw in her work a reflection of his own struggle to move with the flow of danger, to anticipate the unseen, to evolve in order to endure. Under the light of star-drenched skies, they would meet by the sacred flame in the temple square, sharing knowledge and dreams. The healer spoke of herbs that could cleanse the blood of toxins, of waters that could sustain even the frailest of life. The warrior, in turn, shared the lessons of vigilance and strength, teaching her how to navigate the treacherous terrain that the poisoned earth had wrought. Their hands would meet above the flickering firelight, and in that touch, there was a silent promise to survive, not only for oneself, but for the other, and for the fragile continuity of life itself. Their love mirrored the world around them. Just as primitive creatures had learned to endure acidic rains or toxic air by developing resilience, shells, burrows, camouflage, the two souls adapted to the pressures of destiny. Every moment of shared joy, every whispered vow beside the flames, was a subtle recalibration, an evolution of the spirit to survive the cruel inevitability of separation. Even when the winds carried ash that stung their eyes and filled their lungs, they pressed on, finding solace in each other's presence, and learning that adaptation was as much emotional as it was physical. Centuries rolled forward, civilizations rose and crumbled, yet the echoes of their resilience remained. 1,000 lifetimes later, in a modern city of glass and steel, two strangers moved through streets teeming with life and distraction. She felt drawn to places she had never visited before, compelled by a pull she could not name. He found himself pausing in alleys, in libraries, in quiet cafes, sensing an invisible presence guiding his steps. And in dreams, vivid, uncanny, he saw flames flickering in ancient temples, smelled the faint tang of herbs, and felt the brush of her hand across his own. Their modern souls, like the first creatures of the poisoned earth, were evolving to recognize one another. Memories buried deep within their consciousness acted as instincts, guiding them toward each other with quiet precision. The lessons of survival passed down across time were not merely biological. They were spiritual. The human heart, they discovered, adapts not only to danger but to longing, pain, and love. Just as the warrior and healer once honed their bodies and minds to endure, so too had these modern selves learned, unconsciously, to navigate the complexities of life, to respond to the subtle signals of the soul, and to honor the ancient patterns that drew them together. On a rainy afternoon, they finally crossed paths. There was no thunderclap, no grand spectacle, only the gentle recognition in their eyes, a de-agi view that sent shivers down their spines. They did not need to speak of destiny. Their hearts remembered the sacred dance of adaptation that had sustained them millennia before. Starry nights, sacred flames, the whispers of wind through temple ruins. They carried these echoes with them, unbroken by time. And in each other's presence, they felt the profound wisdom that true survival is not mere existence. It is the ability to bend, to grow, to learn, and to remain open to love, even when the world threatens to extinguish it. In that realization, they found a deeper kind of healing. The earth of long ago had been poisoned, but through adaptation it had nurtured life. The human heart, they learned, could be similarly resilient. Love, like life, is not static, it evolves. it changes. It bends to accommodate the trials of existence while remaining enduring in its essence. And so, they held each other not as possessions, but as reflections of a shared journey. Souls evolved through time, surviving not merely for themselves, but for the memory and continuation of love itself. The poisoned earth had taught them the ultimate lesson: survival is sacred, adaptation is wisdom, and love, deep, transcendent and remembered across lifetimes, is the truest testament to life's enduring strength. The passage of time is both cruel and tender. It erodes civilizations, scatters memories, and buries the footprints of lives once lived. Yet, beneath the layers of dust and the veil of centuries, the lessons of survival remain, etched in the invisible threads of existence. Life on a poisoned earth taught those early souls that resilience was not just a matter of strength, but of awareness, presence, and alignment with the rhythms of the world. And in these lessons lay an enduring truth. The greatest wisdom is not merely to endure, but to remember, to carry forward the essence of what sustains life, even through the storms of fate. In the heart of that forgotten civilization, the healer and the warrior walked the streets of a village built from stone and hope. The air was thick with the acrid scent of burning herbs, a warning of the toxic environment that enveloped their world. Rivers shimmered with a deadly brilliance, and yet life persisted, adapting, bending, surviving. The healer would kneel beside the stream, her fingers tracing patterns in the water, teaching the warrior how even the most dangerous elements could be transformed through care, understanding, and patience. Each lesson was both practical and spiritual. The poisoned earth demanded reverence for the fragile balance of life, and those who understood this balance could survive, and even thrive, against overwhelming odds. The warrior, fierce and vigilant, learned that brute strength alone could not preserve life. Adaptation was necessary, yes, but so was empathy, the ability to perceive the subtleties of danger and opportunity, the wisdom to respond without fear, and the courage to protect not only oneself, but the interconnected web of existence. Their love, forged under the gaze of starry nights and sacred flames, became a living testament to these principles. In each other's presence, they discovered that the heart, like the body, could adapt, could endure, and could hold the memory of life's resilience across time. And then, as all earthly tales must, their path was severed. A storm, both literal and metaphysical, tore through the village, scattering them like seeds upon the wind. But the soul remembers what the body forgets. Across lifetimes, their essence carried forward the wisdom of survival, of love, of presence amidst peril. In dreams, fleeting visions, and inexplicable déjà vu, the lessons of the poisoned earth whispered to them patience in suffering, courage in the face of destruction, and above all, the recognition that love is not possession, but remembrance. In the modern world, 1,000 lifetimes later, two strangers navigated the intricate maze of urban life. She moved through her days with a sense of yearning she could not define. He wandered the city streets with a familiar ache in his chest, a silent pull toward a presence he could not yet name. And then, one evening, beneath the glow of street lamps and the quiet hum of rain-soaked pavement, their paths converged. It was as though centuries of memory had orchestrated the meeting. The sacred flames of old temples flickering in their subconscious, the whispers of wind through forgotten ruins echoing in their hearts. They recognized each other not in the superficial patterns of appearance, but in the deep, unspoken language of the soul. Her hands, when she brushed against his, carried echoes of the healer's touch, guiding and soothing. His gaze, steady and unwavering, resonated with the warrior's strength, protective yet gentle. Together, they rediscovered an ancient rhythm, the balance of life, the dance of adaptation, the sacred covenant of presence. Every shared silence became a lesson, every laugh a reminder that love, like life, is a process of continual adaptation and remembrance. The lessons from the poisoned earth unfolded in subtle ways. They noticed patterns in the chaos of their modern lives, stress, uncertainty, fleeting opportunities, and realized that true resilience lies in how one responds, not merely in surviving. Just as the healer coaxed life from poisoned soil and the warrior navigated treacherous terrain, they learned to nurture hope, trust intuition, and remain open to the miracles hidden within ordinary moments. The modern world, though different in form, carried the same essential truths. Survival is not only the preservation of life, but the conscious cultivation of meaning, connection, and love. Under starry nights, they would sit together on quiet rooftops, feeling the pulse of existence beneath the city lights. Sacred flames of memory flickered in their minds. The ancient temples, the soft whispers of wind, the glow of moonlight on ash-covered soil. They understood that the greatest gift of resilience is the ability to remember, to honor the lessons of the past, and to carry them forward with grace. Love, they realized, is the most enduring of these lessons. It survives storms, poisons, and the passage of lifetimes because it is not bound by time, but by soul. And so, they embraced a new kind of survival. Not mere existence, not the avoidance of pain, but a conscious, tender, and courageous journey of the heart. They honored the wisdom of ancient resilience by living fully, by loving without possession, and by remembering across the corridors of time that every challenge, every hardship, every poisoned moment contains the seed of growth and connection. In this way, the legacy of the earth, the healer, the warrior, and the countless souls who had endured before them continued, not just as history, but as living truth. In the end, they understood survival is sacred, adaptation is wisdom, and love, deep, remembered, and eternal, is the compass that guides the human spirit through every poisoned age, every storm, and every lifetime.